YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, and today I am bringing you guys the best PlayStation 5 and Xbox settings. And if you don't know who I am the head coach of the professional franchise Call of Duty team, Atlanta FaZe, and I'm also a former pro player myself. I play on PC. We already put that video out. I also do play on console, and we're here to give you the best of the best. Let's go. And starting off, we're going to be going to settings or scroll over to controller settings. We're going to be starting with controller because it is the most important one, in my opinion, outside of the graphics, which we'll get to, and then also some outside console settings that could help you out potentially as well. But regardless, we're starting here. We are controller players. We are playing console. We are on the PS5 first. I will go through this on Xbox as well, but I'm going to explain it way more in depth in the PS5. So if you're listening now and you are an Xbox player, listen up for some of these because they are pretty similar. And then obviously we can go to the Xbox section too. So starting here, I play on tactical flip. This doesn't really matter considering this is personal preference. I like playing on tactical, and that is just what I play on. And if you ever want to flip and shoot with R1 or L1, you can obviously do that. I actually used to not play flipped on PS5. I've been testing out playing flipped on PS5. I don't really know. It kind of feels a little clunky, so I'm kind of testing that out. But again, that's something that's personal preference. So most of the time, I would recommend this off for PlayStation 5 players because you want to use the back triggers the way the controller is. But either way, you can kind of get away with it depending on obviously how you want to play. So that's what we're doing right now. And then I play on 7.7 sensitivity. And that is really all I do for these changes. It's not going to be too much. I don't do any multipliers. I will explain those, but we're rocking 7.7. But the next stuff is important. Controller vibration, I do not think you should ever have on. People will say this is a preference, but I really do think this actually messes up your aim when it's just, you know, shaking like that as you're trying to aim. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Trigger effect, I'm going to have off. But right here is going to be the most important thing for any controller player ever. Let's get into it. We move the camera down here. We're going to talk about dead zones. I've talked about this on this channel a lot. I will always do it because I know there's always going to be new people to this channel. So if you're enjoying this content, by the way, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We have a lot more tips and tricks coming throughout the entire year, including a bunch of cool short forms too. But regardless, this is the default dead zones that you will probably get most likely. 10, absolutely unacceptable. So what we're going to show you is what dead zones really are and explain them and all of that stuff. So if I click test stick dead zone right now, you can see on the screen, I can't use my mouse, it's so weird. Right around where it says L right there, there's a little circle. If I make it bigger, which I will turn this off, you can see that it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. All that is basically in order for me to, you know, have my controller start registering the left stick moving, I would have to get it past that threshold on that, So don't mind this thing on my thumb. I cut my thumb, so there was blood everywhere. It was a whole thing. But regardless, if you want to push it all the way that far and then it's going to start registering, it's going to feel really delayed and clunky. And obviously 34 is insane. So what I recommend doing is I like to play on 0. Now on console, my PS5 controller is a little bit weaker than my PS4 controller that I would use on PS4. So on console, I actually play on 2 left, which is kind of perfect for me not to get stick drift. But I would recommend getting this as low as possible. So you obviously have the most responsive stuff. Your left stick is probably the most important stick when it comes to movement, aim assist, rotational aim assist, and tack sprint. So you want it to be the most responsive it possibly can be. So getting it as low as possible is important. I would start at 5 and then, you know, kind of work your way down. If you don't have any stick drift or anything all the way at 0, I recommend doing it at 0. So right now I'm on 2 for this. And then the left stick maximum is also just as important as the minimum. And we're about to explain that right now. So what a left stick maximum is, you can see right now that there is no circles around either the left or the right stick. But if I start to lower it, you see the circles start to come inward and, you know, get smaller and smaller. The reason why I like to play on about 75 to 80 on this is, which my controller for console, again, not as strong. For some reason, my PS4 controller is a little bit better. It's also newer. You want to make sure that you are at 80 or anything lower to the point of that it's going to be more responsive. And what I mean by that is, look, if I want to get to the full speed maximum, like, you know, as fast as I can get, especially when you're strafing in gunfights or you're using the tactical sprint, right now, I would just have to go right there, which is 80%, which is not as far as the full 100% that you would do if you keep it all the way at the 99, which is going to be right here, and then test it out. You have to get all the way there to kind of go as fast as possible. So the lower that you can get this without bugging out your controller, the better. Now, most of the people that hear that are just like, oh, I'm just going to go all the way down to, you know, like 50 or something. When I start to go too low, even with the controller that's brand new that I have, it starts to get a little wacky. So what I would recommend doing is starting around like the 55 mark and then really testing it out. 55 is still really low. On my PC, I use 65, and then on my PlayStation, I use 75 to 80. So whatever really works for you, I would recommend trying that out and kind of figuring it out. But basically, you want this as low as possible that you can go, or just a little bit lower, just so you're actually hitting the full speed on strafing and sprinting and all of that, especially with Omni movement that we're going to get into in a second. So in general, you want to make sure that your left stick maximum is actually kind of messed with. Kind of an underrated setting, but yeah, let's move on. Now, the same thing for this one. This is the right stick minimum. This is your precision stick. You're going to be tracking people. You're going to be controlling recoil. You're going to be like following people left and right. If they're in the air and Warzone and vehicles and all that stuff, this is where this stick comes in handy. So you want this to be as responsive as possible, but probably not too much stick drift as well. Some people actually don't mind stick drift. I personally do. So on console or on PC, I would normally play on around 3, 2, or whatever I can. On console right now, I've been playing on 5, and it fits pretty good. But the lower you can get, the better. And again, the best way to test this is by putting this all the way to 0. If there's stick drift, put it to 1. If there's stick drift, put it to 2. And I would put it to like 2, 3, maybe 4, or again 5. If you start going to the 6, 7, 8, 9 range, you're starting to kind of mess with your controller. Probably just, you might need a new one, you know? So either way, I would test it out, figure out what works best for you. But right now we're rocking 5. And then the maximum, this is not the same as the left stick because this is your precision stick. Do not touch the maximum at all. Leave it at default. And then my dead zones for my L2 and my R2, because I always want the triggers to be as responsive as possible, is going to be 0. Now, moving over to aiming, this is going to be important for a lot of you. Right now, it is not important for me, but I'm sure I will end up testing this out. What this is going to be is your sensitivity multiplier. So right here, you go to your ADS sensitivity. This is important because right now I'm playing on 7.7, like I mentioned earlier in the video. If I'm playing on 7.7, when I ADS, aim down sight, I will be playing at 7.7 times 1.0, which is 7. If I was playing on 7.7 and it was times 0.8 or times 0.9, which you can obviously do this, it would be, you know, a little bit different of a sensitivity. I'm not a mathematician in my head. That's terrible. But again, a better example, if you were playing on 10.10 and then you aim down sight with 0.9 or 0.5, you would be at 9 sensitivity or 5 sensitivity when you're aimed in, and you can kind of mess with that. A lot of people like to kind of do like 7.7, 6.6.8, and they kind of feel like that's nice to, like, you know, when you slow down the people, you kind of feel like you're locking on. You can test that out if you want to, but personally right now, I really like the 7.7.1, especially with the speed of the slides and the Omni movement. I feel like I can just keep up in general. So that's important for a lot of you if you want to test it out. Right now, it's not important for me. And then look inversion is whatever. And now, weirdly enough, aim advanced settings is important. I don't know why they're hiding settings in this game. It's kind of weird, but you go to aim advanced settings and you kind of go through this. This is what it's going to be default. It's going to be gradual. Take this off and make this instant. You're going to need this to be instant. It is much better. In the beta, gradual actually was better because there was a weird glitch. It was kind of funky, but now you want to make sure you are on instant. And then your aim response curve is going to start off as standard. You want to make sure you put that on dynamic. Basically, dynamic, you're going to be feeling snappy. You're starting fast and you're slowing down to your real sensitivity. Standard is the other way around. So if you want to be as snappy and quick to the, you know, target that you want to be, dynamic is really important. And also a lot of the pros, basically every single one of the pros in the CDL, which is the Pro Call of Duty League, is playing on dynamic as well. And then obviously one aim response curve type. So that is going to be what I recommend trying out for you guys. Of course, you'll always try whatever works for you. That's what we're rocking. Target aim assist off. Motion sensor behavior, we're going to turn off as well. But that is very important that it is hidden in there, so don't miss that. Going over to the movement, we're going to have tactical sprint assist on. Now, you have tactical sprint assist, and there's going to be a sprint assist delay. If you have a delay, basically what you're going to do is you're going to start sprinting, and then you're going to start tactical sprinting with this delay. It's going to be really clunky. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be really stupid. Turn off the delay. There's no point even having this. There shouldn't even be a setting, in my opinion, right now of this unless something changes. So make sure that delay is at 0. Sprint assist sideways and assist backwards right now is what I have on. I have a theory right now for my movement guide that should be coming out pretty soon. But as of now, we're going to be sticking with it. I'll test it out for the movement guide, I promise you guys. But yes, so have that off. And then all your mantle assists, I'm going to have my mantle assist off, my crouch assist off. I'm going to have my corner slice off. If you don't know what corner slice is, basically when you get near a wall right now and you start to do that sideways, you know, that sideways peek, that is what corner slice is. It does not actually affect your aim. It just kind of looks funky and it annoys me, so I turned it off. If this changes, I will either pin a comment, let you guys know, or make a new video down the road if it is something that's really important. But right now we have it off. And going over to the slide and dive behavior, we have it on hybrid. Now this is very important. Last year, I would have told you, slide only, you can get away with that, no big deal. Or tap the slide, kind of clunky, a little delayed, you can get away with that, no big deal. With Omni movement being so good, this is very important because you want to be able to dive and you don't want to have a delay. If you play on tap to slide, you're going to have a slide delay, a dive delay. It's going to be clunky. If you play on tap to dive, it's the same thing. Slide only, you have no dive option. And obviously the same thing with dive only. So hybrid is going to be important because hybrid is going to change the way you slide. So if you want to slide cancel, you just click your slide button. If you want to dive, you hold in your sprint, whatever it would be. For us, it would be L3, and you click the slide button, and you will actually dive with no delay. I will show you that in the game. Do not worry about that. But yes, get used to this year. I promise you it will help you so much. Now going down, we're going to have sprint store on, slide maintain sprint on, and then we're just going to do all this stuff. Movement advanced settings, nothing too crazy. Tactical sprint activation, I do have single tap to sprint, which is just going to help you, you know, just do like your tactical sprint and stuff right now. But with the tactical sprint assist, you're kind of fine with that. And then, yeah, other than that, that's the movement settings. Now we're over to the combat. I don't think too much changes here, if I'm not mistaken. No, we're all good with this. We're all good with that. And then overlay advanced settings. So yeah, that's going to be controller settings. Now let's move on to the graphics. Now on console, graphics display, you want 120 hertz refresh rate on. If you know that you have a 120 hertz refresh rate and it is not on, you might not have the right HDMI cable. When I started playing console after not playing on it for a long time, I actually did not have an HDMI 2.1 cable. I had a very old HDMI, and then I tried to go to the PS5 and the Xbox, and it just wasn't working, and I was really frustrated. And then that kind of just solved a lot of my issues. So number one troubleshoot, HDMI 2.1 cable, make sure you have that. And then going over to quality, you're gonna have your motion blurs off, world motion blur off, depth of field off. Fidelity cast is going to be on, and then we're going to have that strength at 90. I just think that makes the game look the best. Now, this one's kind of weird. People are up in the air about this, you know, downloading textures and not downloading textures. I usually keep this at minimal, even on PC. I'm pretty sure I keep this on minimal. And yeah, I have this at small. So I'm not too sure about this setting yet. If you guys have comments down below about the setting, please go into detail. I would love to hear it. But I just always kind of lean on the side of keeping this off or like low, just because usually that's best for the performance of the game. So let me know, guys, if you guys know anything else different on that. But yeah, that's what we're doing for this. And then you're going to go to the view. Field of view is going to start off at 90. Now, you can go all the way up to 120. If you go up to 120, obviously it's going to be a little bit more on your console, but there is going to be less visual recoil, which is really nice. In multiplayer, though, I actually don't prefer 120. I prefer around 105 to 110. And then Warzone's a little bit more fun that you don't have that crazy movement. So whatever you want to get used to kind of works. Right now, I am actually running 105 on my PC, and I'm running 105 on my console too. So I'm going to be rocking that. And then field of view ADS. If you want to get rid of all your visual recoil, you should be playing unaffected. Independent is where it zooms in back to the traditional. When you actually aim in, it is going to cause a lot of recoil that is going to be really funky. So I recommend not playing on that setting anymore. It's kind of just outdated, and a lot of people aren't using it. Weapon field of view. This one, people like to say wide. It makes the weapon look smaller and the visual recoil and all that stuff. I've played on default narrow. I kind of go through phases with this. I don't really think it matters too much. I know some of the best players in the world actually play on narrow. Some of the best players in the world play on wide. I've tried them all. I'd probably recommend starting off at wide and then going from there, so you can kind of do that. So we're going to have it on wide for this one. Field of view, we're all good with that. This is a very important setting with all the camera shaking, all the weird stuff. This shouldn't even be a setting. This should just be default. Make sure it is at least 50%. If it's at 100, you're going to have a lot of visual shake. The game's going to feel like shit and really clunky. I do not recommend that. So have it at least. Have that at least. And then inverted flashbangs. This year, guys, if you haven't been flashed in this game yet, just wait. When you get flashed, it lasts forever, and the white screen is actually blinding to me, so I keep this on this year. Normally, I would tell you this really doesn't matter. It's preference. I don't even think it's preference. I think it is so obnoxious how good flash grenades are in this game that I just turned it on, and it at least just goes to black instead of white. It just feels better. I don't know. All right, but that is going to be it for the graphics settings. Now we're going to scroll over to interface. We're going to do audio next. Do not worry. What we're doing for interface is this all really doesn't matter. You know, turn them off, turn them on, you know, whatever. This is just what prompts you on the menu and stuff, the stuff that you can read. So you have that. Then server latency, packet loss. I do think those are important. And then readability here, you're going to go to color customization. This is going to be important. So listen up here. You're going to want to play on anything for the HUD color palette. You can play on any of these. A lot of, you know, starts off at default, and that's what kind of be your palette there. But the big thing that I like to change here is on your enemy. So you can see how it's red right now. That is going to be the default red for your enemy. I actually like playing on something of any kind of a purple or a pink. It just stands out a little bit more than red, and especially when you're going to be playing Warzone, I'd assume it's going to make those pings and all that stuff kind of stand out more. But I just like the pink. I think it makes things stand out a little bit more, so I do like that. And then you go down the color filter. You want to make sure it's on color filter 2. then you're going to have it on both, and then you're going to have the intensity both at 100. And now moving over to the last part, we're going to go to our safe area. Now, this is going to be what it's looking like when it's default. You obviously probably want to bring this all the way in. If you guys don't know why I bring this all the way in, I explain this all the time, but basically, this is going to bring your HUD all the way in right now to the center of your screen instead of all the way to the edges of your screen. If you're playing on a 40-inch TV, this is even better. A monitor, it does not really matter. You want to make sure you're able to get to that mini-map on the top left of your screen as fast as possible. So if I'm looking at the center of my screen right now, I can just go like that and then come back down, and I can see the mini-map and look back down. It's quickly. If I have to go all the way up to the top left of my monitor, I'm either going to have to drag up a little bit, or I'm going to have to actually move my whole head and then come back down. And that couple millisecond difference in a game like Call of Duty, it does make a lot of a difference in my opinion, and the minimap is your best friend. So I recommend playing this all the way in. And then your HUD presets, you're going to have a bunch of different ones this year. Classic, Standard, or Magnified are the only three that I would recommend here. Magnified is the coolest one because it actually magnifies your HUD, aka your minimap, and it could help you if you're not very good at looking at it. So I would recommend trying that if you do struggle with your minimap. But either way, I'm playing on Standard right now. Minimap shape, if you make it square, it is a bigger minimap, which is very nice. I like having the minimap rotation on as well. I think it makes reading the minimap easier. This radar setting shouldn't be in the game. Just get it out of the game. If you turn this radar setting on, your minimap is like gone. But like it's not gone, but it is gone. And it's just a stupid setting, so it shouldn't be on. Make sure this is turned off, guys. I promise you it will help you. You scroll all the way down. Crosshairs, this is where you can do some cool stuff. Your crosshair color, again, you can change the color of your actual crosshair and do all this cool stuff of whatever you want. So you can change it to any of these colors here and do anything that you want, whether it's red, yellow, green, or blue. And what I've been rocking right now is like the teal blue right there. And then you want to turn your saturation all the way up so it actually saturates the color of that blue that you want. And then once you do that, you click apply custom color, and now your crosshair will actually change colors. I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's nothing too crazy. It's not going to help too much. But what does help, in my opinion, is having your crosshair dot on for your centering in console. And then your crosshair spread, I actually like having it off. And then after that, I will go to larger or largest or default, depending on how much you're working on your centering. You can see on the top right here, the center dot just gets bigger the larger of the setting that you go. So it can actually help you on your setting a lot. And then if you click that on, you're good to go there. And then again, of course, you can have them on static. I don't recommend having your crosshairs bobbing. What I would recommend is having them on static. So if you're going to have that crosshair spread, it is going to be at least still and not moving around and causing you weird stuff. But I actually like playing with the center dot on for this game. It just feels really good with the different colors and stuff. I don't know. Less clutter on the screen. It looks cool, and you can change the color. This is what we're rocking right now. So center dot on. And then, yeah, everything else is good to go. So now let's move over to the audio. Audio, we're going to go to master game volume. I'm going to turn off the gameplay music completely. I'm going to turn off the cinematic music completely. The dialogue volume, you can lower this. It's just annoying here in the dialogue. I don't really think it's necessary. Effects volume, we're going to keep at 100. Now, they did a lot of cool stuff to audio this year, especially to help console out. Treyarch Mix is going to be your default, but Sucker Punch is, after testing it on PC a bunch and just testing it out on everything, I actually like Sucker Punch the most. It has the tightest dynamic range, which is going to bring some of the lower stuff to be a little bit louder. And in general, I feel like this just makes the most sense right now. It's the best audio that I have found. I've tested them all out with streaming for the last 1 billion hours. So, you know, this is day 3 of the game now. So Sucker Punch here is what we're rocking. Mono audio off, of course. And then we're going to go down over here. So I have this setting on. It just gets rid of the ringing. And now this is where you can get pretty crafty with the channels and messing with the frequency. Right now, I have none of those settings for you. If anything crazy comes out and we test them out more, I will make another video, or I will let you guys know. You guys know that, but I'm not going to just make up some BS and give you some BS too, because that would just make me a bad content creator. So, and yeah, so that's going to conclude all of your settings when it comes to Call of Duty. Right now, we're prestige level 47 right now. We're grinding, but let me show you some console stuff just to help you guys out, just in case. Then we'll run it back on Xbox. Less detailed, but not because I don't love you guys on Xbox. It's just because a lot of it's going to be pretty similar, and then we have some Xbox settings as well to help you, and then you guys can enjoy your Black Ops 6 experience. Let's go. Okay, so now you're going to go over to your system settings. You're going to scroll down the screen and video. Now, a lot of you guys that play on TVs and stuff, I know I mentioned this in my last video. I do need to get the 4K TV in this room and put it over there and figure out a good way to show you kind of both ways just to up the level of my guides for you guys. But regardless, I'm going to try to explain some of this stuff. But yeah, if you missed what I said earlier, HDMI 2.1 cable. It will fix a lot of your issues. It's not going to fix everything. I'm sure there's other issues that you guys are dealing with, but That is going to fix a lot of your issues if you guys can't get to 120 hertz or, you know, your 1440p, like all that stuff. It's just going to be easier if you upgrade your HDMI cables. If you haven't done it in a while, you probably need to. Okay, so we are playing on a 1440p resolution. We do not have VRR on just with my monitor and what I'm using right now. But if this is available on your TV, I recommend playing on it for the least amount of latency and just making it feel as smooth as possible. So you should definitely check this setting. It's worth it. And then the same thing, 120 hertz output, make sure you obviously have this on. And then if you have if your TV supports this auto low latency mode, again, I would recommend having this on as well. Right now, my monitor does not need this and it does not support it. So it's going to be pretty simple. So those are what I would make sure you check out in the screen and video settings. And then we're going to move over down here to saved data and game app settings. And then if you go down to game presets, you're going to see power or performance mode. Sorry, not power, but performance mode or resolution mode. Make sure you have this on performance mode, not game default or resolution mode. It will also help you out as well. And with that being said, if you are done with this video because you're a PlayStation 5 player, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. Xbox players, let's show you guys what we're working with right now. All right, so now for this console really quick, I just realized that everything I just showed you on PS5 and Xbox in the game is going to be obviously similar, and I don't want to waste too much time because I actually have to get back to streaming so I can continue to get this dark matter camo and show you guys some more cool tips and tricks and all that stuff. So everything that I just showed you when it comes to all the in-game settings, you know, in the actual game of Black Ops 6, you got it right there. Now for Xbox, really quickly, if you are playing on a 4K TV or anything like that, again, 2.1 cable, all I was saying before, the HDMI 2.1 cable, and then you just want to make sure you go to your TV display options, you click on this, make sure you're obviously on the resolution that you're at. Your refresh rate, make sure it is at 120 hertz as well. That is important for the game not to feel like shit. If it is not, obviously it's going to be a little bit more just clunky, shitty, and you don't want that, obviously, if you can. If you can't, it's a whole different story. But if you're able to do this and you're not and something's wrong, again, the HDMI cable on top of making sure this is actually enabled, and then you just go over to video modes and you allow 50 hertz, and again, allow auto latency mode. Should 100% be on. I'm not on a monitor that needs that or anything of the sort. But if you do have a TV, if you're on a TV, make sure if you're obviously checking out game mode, make sure it is on game mode, and make sure you have your refresh rate always on, and then the auto low latency mode on as well. And then if you are playing in 4K, you will need to check allow 4K off as well. But that is very similar when it comes to Xbox. It's very, very simple. Those are the in-game settings for Black Ops 6 when it comes to PS5 and Xbox. Hopefully this helped you out. If it did, drop a like on this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys for watching, and a lot of more videos to come, especially aim and movement guides. So stay tuned on the channel. I love you guys, and enjoy your Black Ops 6 experience. Peace.